Coming up this week, off screen.
We get Fly, Superfly.
Shane Black revives the Predator.
We go on holiday with some crazy rich Asians.
Harry Dean Stanton is lucky.
Michael Caine becomes a king of thieves.
Marvin gets reinvented.
And Michael goes inside.
All those to come and more, off screen.
This is Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off Screen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
Are you doing your affected Michael Caine voice? Is that what that was?
Was it?
Was that a Michael Caine growl?
No, it was like you doing that weird semi-Clarkson that you do.
Semi-Clarkson?
Yeah. When you start all the way down here and then you end like that.
that is Stuart Lee. See right there?
Yeah, that was more Stuart Lee.
Welcome to Radio 4 where the voice goes up.
Yeah.
And
No,
down.
I don't have a Michael Caine because I'm too northern.
Too northern to pull off Michael Caine.
Yeah.
It's funny enough. It's like Alan Frank's favourite piece of trivia is to tell you that his name is it Maurice Micklewhite?
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is every time I see a really bad Michael Caine movie now, which, he doesn't make terrible movies until this week, you come out and you...
Jaws 4.
Yeah, you do come out and I do think to myself, oh, Maurice. But,
Crazy old Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice. But, anyway, so King of Thieves is terrible. We'll review that later. So...
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert. I know, it really is bad. So let's see. We've got the news, we've got the reviews, top 5, all the usual fun to do. We need some news to start us off. What has happened in the world of film this week? Has anything of note taken place?
I feel like it's still been pretty quiet, apart from Henry Cavill might not be Superman. Wait, he might be Superman.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no one knows.
Like the story was that someone had gone to, I think, Hollywood Reporter and said he's out.
Because he was in negotiations to be in Shazam. Well, to do a cameo, which, I mean, it's a cameo, so you could shoot it anywhere and with a couple of minutes work, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a hard ask, is it?
Yeah, but I think there's been issues with pay and stuff, and I don't know if he had to do a contract negotiation or like a renegotiation after Justice League.
Huh. Yeah.
I can't remember how many films he was signed up for when he signed up for Man of Steel.
I think he was signed for 3 movies, and I think those 3 movies were... ended with Justice League. I think it was that sort of trilogy he was
right. So anything
for.
Else, he would have to.
Anything else would be individual, I think. So yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So I don't know if he was asking for too much to be in Shazam for a minute or what, but he got cast in The Witcher, and then he's obviously been doing all right with Mission Impossible, and
Mission Impossible seems to have really finally won him an audience. So it was the 20th anniversary, Big Lebowski?
Well, that's not why we're watching it, but I think that it actually is. I think it was 1998 when it came out. So
it was, yeah. But the anniversary screening seems to have been it's either this last week or next week coming.
Oh.
And there's loads of Curzon in Sheffield, for instance, is doing this big screening, and
I don't know why I didn't hear about
serving up White Russians and.
Oh, of course they were.
Yeah. So that sounds. I'm sorry to have to miss out on that. I think it is being released in cinemas for one day again.
I would have not watched it on Blu-ray had I known that.
Yeah, I think
just waited.
It's coming back to cinemas for a day or something for the anniversary.
Oh man,
remastered.
Yeah,
because it hasn't aged a day because it was a period piece to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah, set in the 80s.
Set in the 80s.
Yeah, I think it's very.
Isn't it when
80s.
the Gulf War starts? It's that happens in the background, doesn't it?
Yeah, because President Bush.
So it's like
OG Bush.
OG, yeah, Bush 1, mate. Bush 1,
yeah.
I think that would be 1990, 91, 90? Yeah. 90, I think. Gulf War started in 90, surely. Okay. So, back to some reviews then. Let's... we've got to plug the podcast edition.
Do it.
Got to do that. Okay, so there's a podcast edition of this show. If you can get the full expanded version with more fun and more news and more reviews and more Nicolas Cage, which everybody needs in their life. So, first review of the week then. Let's start with Crazy Rich Asians. Okay?
Yay.
Right. We have to talk about the title, first of all, because I think everyone seems to have interpreted it the absolute wrong way. People seem to think that it is made up of 3 descriptive terms. Crazy and rich and Asian. No, it's not. It's crazy rich. Asians.
So we need a comma or something in there.
So,
or a hyphen.
A hyphen. So it should be Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich, that's just a good title.
That would work, wouldn't it? Crazy Rich.
Crazy Rich.
But yeah, so this stars Constance Wu from Fresh Off the Boat, I'm told.
Yes.
The series it's on. It's been
which is good.
In like its third season. Yeah. I'd not seen her in anything before. It was my introduction to Constance Wu. So she is she's an NYU professor of game theory.
So this Wu is new to you.
This Wu is new to me. Is Wu new to you?
No. Okay. I've been aware of Wu.
Okay.
This Wu has been a constant in my life. It's been a constant Constance.
Constance Wu has been a constant Wu in your life.
Yeah, has been a constant Constance.
What if you were inclined to try and woo?
For me, not you.
You're going to try and woo Ms. Wu.
Well, that's what this film is about.
It could be constant wooing of Constance Wu.
Constance Wu, yeah.
So, back to that. So, Matt Mikkelsen has a funny named brother as well. Anyway.
What's his brother?
I forget. Wasn't he the rock and roll guy? Or it's Vincent Cassell.
It was Vincent Cassell, who's called Rusty Squats.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. We were reviewing Crazy Rich Asians.
No, we're talking about people's names.
We are. So, Constance Wu is an NYU game theory professor who is going out with a sexy, well-educated, very upstanding young Singaporean man played by Henry Golding. He invites her home to... all she knows about his sort of business is that he's very successful and he's, seemingly an ordinary guy. She agrees to attend a family wedding with him in Singapore. They jet off over there, and along the way, wouldn't you know it, it turns out he's like a billionaire, and he's just never mentioned it. So the whole gimmick is, and this is in the film played as something of a twist. I imagine it was in the book as well.
But in the trailer, it's not.
It's not. This is the plot according to the posters, the trailers, everything. It's he's rich. That's the gimmick. It's literally in the title. But the film wants to play it as a sort of a twist, this big reveal. Oh my God, I'm dating Prince William. I think she literally says at one point, and his response is, actually, I'm kind of more like Harry.
Yeah.
Right. So he describes them as being comfortable, not rich, and she says that's
something
what
rich people say.
Yeah. So no sooner does she arrive in Singapore and she meets his all-domineering mother, played by Michelle Yeoh, who it just instantly gets you to fall in love with her in this brilliant sort of Joan Collins-like role. That sort of dynasty, 80s style. Yeah. The Marissa Cooper of this world kind of thing. Marissa Cooper? Who's
from the OC, yeah.
From the OC. That's the mum, isn't it? Julie Cooper.
Julie Cooper and Julie Cooper Nickel.
Yes, sorry, Julie Cooper. She's the Julie Cooper of this. And there is something of that kind of OC-like way that they stage, the lavish, glossy luxury of Singapore. But of course, Constance Wu's character is an every girl. She doesn't fit into this rich world of socialites and, venomous potential romantic rivals who are out to sabotage her every move. She quickly forms her own little posse of friends, which includes Awkwafina, her old college roommate who just happens to have wound up living down the street and is also rich, and her dad is Ken Jeong. So,
nice.
Yeah. This film, by the way, very quickly becomes a case of who's stealing the film at any given moment, and it's a back and forth. Ken Jeong steals it, Awkwafina steals it. As Constance Wu's character puts it, she feels like she's in a bad soap opera and she's been cast as the villain. So we have a clip. This is her discovering, she's dating Prince Harry, effectively.
So your family is, rich?
We're comfortable.
That is exactly what a super rich person would say. It's not a big deal, obviously. I just think it's kind of weird that I had no idea. I mean, you have a Jamba Juice card. You use my Netflix password. You play basketball at that Y that kind of smells.
I really like that place, thank you very much. And yes, my family has money, but I've always thought of it as theirs, not mine.
Yeah, so this came with a lot of buzz out of the US for 2 weeks. It was every Chinese-American actor's, big social media sting. People like Ming-Na Wen and Ken Jeong, of course, who's in the cast. And you actually look at the cast list when you go into it, and there's some names on there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's quite a few.
There's Jimmy Yang is a name I forgot as well, from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he's been in loads of stuff recently.
He's popping up everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he turns up in this as... Now, I'm told that quite a fan favourite character from the book, apparently. There's a trilogy of books, I think.
How big is the book?
The book
pretty
seems to have quite a big following. Like, I've only met like one person who's read it, so can actually describe it to me. But this is really funny. Really, really funny, really, really sharp, and really, really just sort of joyous about how it goes about it. So it is that sort of bright, colourful, it has the feel of something that Julia Roberts or Reese Witherspoon would have done in the late 90s.
Sorry. Like a runaway bride kind of thing.
Kind of around then, except it's actually smart enough to stand apart. It's clever enough with how it tackles conventions, how it basically, at points stops to satirize its own need to feed a cliche. Like, it will do it, but it will do it begrudgingly, and it will make sure that you know it's doing it begrudgingly with a sort of wry smile. I think the cast are all really fun. She's, as far as the sort of central couple goes, for a rom-com, that's kind of an essential thing. She's kind of likeable and adorkable, I suppose is the term, and he's a bit dashing. And Michelle Yeoh is the great Joan Collins figure, as I say, the great Julie Cooper.
Yeah, I think maybe for me it's just been it was just bad trailers.
You think?
Really? Yeah, and I just feel like they just gave everything away. And if that is meant to be the twist, like, that is not the twist for me. That just seems like the point. Did I just say the point? I meant to say the plot point, and it came out as point, which is a new term. It's
a plot point. A plot point.
A plot point. It's a point.
Yeah, there you go. A plot point's a point.
There we go.
But it is really bizarre, isn't it? That is the marketing hook for this, is the actual twist. It's like, what?
But then again, something's called Crazy Rich Asians. One of them's going to be crazy rich.
Exactly. It's like you watch the movie, it's like, oh, look, they're both Asians. That answers the title. Yeah. One of them must also be crazy rich.
Or one of them's crazy, one of them's rich.
So it is very fun. It's got this soundtrack that's made up entirely of Chinese language covers of Western pop songs. And it's really fun. You get like 80s classic like Belinda Carlisle and things in Mandarin. And it's...
we had that in the Meg, didn't we?
Did we get a bit of that in the Meg as well?
What was it? Yeah,
there was one, wasn't there?
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, can blow my mind.
That was it.
I think in like Mandarin or... we play it like 3 times.
I think I'm just more of a fan of Chinese pop music than I think I am. But yeah, so Crazy Rich Asians, Crazy-Rich Asians. I had a great time with it. I think John Chu has never directed a film better in his life. I mean, that one...
John Chu, not John Cho.
Not John Cho, John M. Chu. In fact,
John M. Chu.
John Cho was one of about 6 names of Asian American actors
that are missing
from this film. I was trying to come up with them in my head.
Well, he was too busy searching, wasn't he?
And he was searching in the next screen. You see, in the next room, he was searching. So, but yeah, so Crazy-Rich Asians, absolutely check that out.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show.
And we're back, Mr. Allen. So, shall we check in with Maurice Micklewhite and see how he's been getting on?
Oh, Maurice.
Oh, Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice.
So, King of Thieves is finally here, and...
said no one ever.
Yeah. This was surprising. I mean, I was most depressed that it was not like this wasn't the sequel to Den of Thieves. And because I actually would have been more excited about a sequel to Den of Thieves than the existence of Den of Thieves.
No, the sequel's going to be called Den Mother. Den of Thieves.
It's going to be something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, this is the story of the Hatton Garden job.
Which I didn't know anything about, and then when I did more reading about it when this film was being advertised, I don't know where I was.
Do you know? I remember it going on. I remember it actually being the thing, because obviously the tabloid papers, they ate that up. It was front cover of the Sun for 10 days or so, whatever. But what basically, the general gist of the story was, I think it was in 2011 or 2014, thereabouts, within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Basically, a group of older robbers decided to rob this Hatton Garden Jewellers, clear out the vault. They basically did it over the course of the Easter weekend during unsociable hours. Like, they would just turn up as workmen, let themselves in for the night, have an entire night to try and clear this out. And if anything went wrong, they'd come back the next day. This movie would like to play that exact story that I've just told you as this sort of romanticised Honour Among Thieves brotherhood tale. And it stars Michael Caine, Jim Broadbent, Paul Whitehouse, Tom Courtenay, and Ray Winston. all of whom get named on the poster for this by their surname, and they also include amongst their member Charlie Cox from Daredevil, which means at some point on this surname poster, as I call it, there's like Kane, Courtney, Whitehouse, Cox. And you just start thinking, is it Courtney Cox? He's not the most famous Cox. He's like not even in the most top. He's not even in the top 5. Perry Cox, a fictional doctor from Scrubs, is more well known as a Cox.
Is that the first thing you think of when you think of Cox?
When I think of Cox, I think of Courtney Cox. That's when I think of that name.
I think of Courtney Cox Arquette.
He's David Arquette's on Molten Movies, by the way, this week.
Really?
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, so this is here's a clip of this romanticised retelling of how to rob a Hatton Garden jeweller.
Didn't your Lynn never teach you nothing?
Leave her out of it.
Can't believe she stayed with you.
What's the matter with you, Terry? Still bitter? Still got an axe to grind after all these years?
If I had an axe to grind, Brian, you'd be the first to know about it.
Don't try and bully me, son. I know how to treat bullies. I'll have you in chunks.
Come on then. Have a chunk. You can tuck me up while you're about it.
Whoa, turn it in.
So straight away you run into a bit of a difficult problem with this movie, which is it's very difficult to take Jim Broadbent seriously as a hard man. And, when you start getting into the nastier side, even Michael Caine, it's difficult to buy Michael Caine as a hard man anymore because it just doesn't quite work. This goes straight in with the sort of faux Full Monty tone that, we are just the little guy, society is, contrived to put us down, etc. We're old, we're obsolete, I'm widowed, the council wants to bill me for this, and this bill is going to clear me out. And it really goes for that, really trying to build itself some likeable heroes. Yeah. The problem is you never quite get past the part that, no, they're not. And the film is so hackneyed and corny with it that you really never get to kind of indulge that immersion.
Who is Charlie Cox in this?
Charlie Cox is, I think he's effectively he's the brain of the outfit. He's the younger recruits. Like, right. He seems to get the band together. He approaches Michael Caine originally, and Michael Caine then assembles the squad sort of one unit at a time. But initially it is him and Charlie Cox. And Charlie Cox is played as a bit of a naive, wannabe newcomer to crime who sort of romanticised this idea of what it must be like to be a London bank robber. And, like, Michael Caine is like a hero to him. But it's not much of a juicy role. There is a sort of an irony to a certain story point they do pull off with him. Like when you get the sort of story of what became of them, there's a certain level of irony to it. Because of the casting, and it is really, really sort of clunkily cast, I would say. The whole thing feels like a made-for-TV restaging of The Italian Job. If you can, you can imagine like the ITV would absolutely do that and cast like what do you call him from the quiz show in the middle of the day? I don't know, the Corrie guy. Anyway,
Bradley Walsh.
Bradley Walsh, yeah.
Yeah, the one that's going to be in Doctor Who.
Yes, him. It feels like you can imagine ITV remaking The Italian Job with like Bradley Walsh and a bunch of actors of that sort of caliber. Yeah. This has that feel to it, and yet it comes to us from the director of The Theory of Everything. So
I really like the cast though. I've not seen the film, but
they don't work in these characters. There's a point at
that's probably what it is then. Probably if you put them like in a different environment, it'd be amazing because who doesn't like Paul Whitehouse? Who doesn't like Jim Broadbent?
See, Paul Whitehouse's character, for instance, doesn't work for him because he's played as being a bit too pathetic. And Paul Whitehouse can't actually dramatically pull that off without sacrificing the comedy. But the tone of
but Paul Whitehouse is Johnny Depp's favourite actor of all time. Lest we forget.
Yes, it's important to have that distinction under your belt, isn't it? But like Jim Broadbent trying to do like affectionately rapey, like do that kind of humour, like when he's teasing Charlie Cox, for instance. You're like, this doesn't work on any level. It just seems wrong. But Right. This is the thing I noticed. The film has in its script this pattern where one character will say, "This is Thingy the Thing," and then the other character will respond with, "Thingy the bloody thing, F off."
Right.
And that happens all the time. It's like, "Oh, this is my car, the Mazda. Car the bloody Mazda?" And Yeah. This goes on over and over again. It is really
like someone's like crime nickname.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
Timmy the Shiv or something.
It's far too silly. It can't sell its own alternative morality. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It is an entire half hour too long. This goes over 2 hours. And, I mean, to be fair, they're robbing the jewellers within about 20 minutes of this thing starting. That actually is to its credit, but it then just labours out the thing.
Is it more just about what they do with all the money and they have like arguments?
It is more about the aftermath than, it just doesn't quite work. And especially after American Animals, because that was such a good heist movie.
Well, I think that's what didn't really work about Ocean's 8. I don't want the heist to happen and then loads of aftermath or just loads of hanging. I want the heist to be the thing that we build towards.
Yes, I can
want to see things going wrong up to that, and then I want to see it either fail or be a success at the end. That's what I want.
Very true. Although, I mean, I've now seen American Animals like 4 times. I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, still need to watch it.
It's so good. Film news. We were talking about film news, by the way. Have you heard this ridiculous rumour that Kit Harington's going to be Batman?
Oh, have you heard the ridiculous... Actually, not as ridiculous rumour that John Hamm will be Batman.
Superman. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is he Superman or Batman?
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
Michael B. Jordan is Superman, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
Or Batham, as I'm saying for John Hamm right now. I'm coining that.
That would be good, wouldn't it? But go from Batfleck to Batham is...
Batham, yeah.
Wasn't Ham the writer of the original Batman in 89? Wasn't it like...
Was it?
I think there was someone named Ham.
Full circle.
Full circle. Okay, so what a world we live in. Right, what is it we're going to review next? We're going to review Lucky next.
Yay.
Right.
I want to see this really bad.
Do you know I didn't know who directed this?
I don't know.
It's John Carroll Lynch.
Oh, no, I didn't know that because I was like, the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, the Zodiac Killer was
he was Francis Dolarhyde, wasn't he, in like Red Dragon?
Yeah.
In the original Michael Mann one. Yeah.
He's amazing.
Great actor.
Yeah.
Didn't he get the heroic death in Volcano? If I remember.
He like jumps off a bus and he's holding a guy.
Yeah, doesn't he like stand in lava and like sacrifice himself?
Yeah, and he's like walking and then melting and walking and melting and
They T-1000'd him, man.
But yeah.
So John Carroll Lynch, I didn't realise, because like him directing a film doesn't surprise me. It does surprise me, though. This is apparently his directorial debut.
Really?
Yeah.
Has he written anything?
No, I'm not sure, actually.
Let's have a look.
You would have thought, wouldn't you, this guy directed loads of movies. He has that sort of Clark Gregg kind of thing about him.
Have you watched about, what's it called, The Invitation?
The Invitation? No, I don't think I have.
He's in that and he's really, really good. It's like a Hollywood dinner party kind of thing. Guy from Upgrade, Logan Marshall Green.
Oh, not Tom Hardy.
Not
Tom Hardy.
Not Tom Hardy, yeah. That's worth checking out, but he's really good in it.
Ah, right. I like the sound of that. Anyway, so John Carroll Lynch has directed this. This is basically being positioned largely marketing-wise on the idea this is the final on-screen performance of Harry Dean Stanton, who passed away. Was it this year he passed away?
I think it was
very start of the year or end of last year.
I feel like this year has gone on and on and on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Harry Dean Stanton, iconic American actor in so many sort of just memorable historically timeless films. And like Alien, and the weird part is he looked the same age in Alien as he does now.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre, because that was 40 years ago.
And he's got probably one of my favourite bits in The Avengers as well.
Oh, yes, son. You got a condition. So this is the story of Lucky, who is, he's a man, lives on his own. He has no one in his life. He's a staunch atheist. And basically, it's kind of just a slice of life drama of him sort of just taking in the world and interacting with the world around him, and how his just search for some kind of comfort and niceness to enjoy in the world, how that sort of crosses and intersects with the lives of his friends, who include actors such as Vic Fontaine from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Don't know where he's been for 20 years, but okay.
Yeah, it's a really good cast.
And David Lynch.
Yep.
Because that's who I think of when I think of heartwarming rural Texan drama. But, here's a clip.
I saw him eyeing that gate the other day. He had to have timed it out perfectly. I searched our entire neighborhood.
Did you search your entire yard?
Hey, we're talking about his best friend here.
Thank you, Lucky.
You're welcome, Howard.
You're right. I'm sorry. We shouldn't make fun.
I'm gonna miss him. He's outlived 2 of my wives. I'm going to the WC.
Okay, pal.
Like, this film is it's just full of those people that you just know from things, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously, you got David Lynch, so you got to have a clip of him talking about his missing tortoise. That, by the way, is David Lynch's arc for this movie.
It's just missing the tortoise.
He's just a man who wants his tortoise. That is literally David Lynch. And you know what? The film, bizarrely, not only manages to pull that off, it manages to make you care about David Lynch and his tortoise. It's only like 98 minutes, this. It's a really sweet, soulful drama. And I mean, I would say it's I would say it's the greatest role Harry Dean Stanton's ever had. It's the best character, the best performance.
It's in a lead. You never see him in a lead.
Yeah, because you never get to see him have this amount of the spotlight, and he brings so much gravitas to it. And you do watch this film and just think, oh my God, we really lost a good one with Harry Dean Stanton. I don't think we stopped and appreciated that enough when he passed. But yeah, great supporting cast, really measured, considered direction. There's something of Scorsese to the staging and the framing of it, even though obviously it couldn't be more further removed from any further removed from the average Scorsese film. But there is a point, actually, which about 2/3 of the way through, I think they play a Johnny Cash song. And I think I told you about this earlier.
Yeah.
In which a Johnny Cash song is then played. Like, of course there's a Johnny Cash song.
So what was missing?
Because why wouldn't this film have a Johnny Cash song? It absolutely does. It absolutely fits. It's a really terrific drama. It's not going to be a box office crowd pleaser, obviously, but if you do get the chance to see it, and I think it'll wind up on Film 4 or something in the UK. It seems like
It probably will.
You'll see this on Film 4, I'd imagine. But, yeah, so that's Lucky. Check it out.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show.
And we're back, Mr. Allen. So, should we have some fun?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Box office, top 5.
It's Megalodon.
Number 5.
Shut up, Meg.
The Meg.
Which I was a big fan of. Who thought that was going to be the buzzy blockbuster of the summer, eh?
Me.
I think everyone thought Skyscraper, though, didn't they?
No, me.
Yeah, I had money on
Meg.
I had money on Skyscraper.
The Rock seems to have an issue with starting these franchises that are brand new, complete
Total originals.
Total original properties.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most anyone's ever calling Skyscraper original, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's Die Hard in a building.
Who would have thought that would work? But it's a building on fire.
Exactly. It's Die Hard in a building. Oh, that's already been done? Oh, just put it on fire. Yeah, totally that. But the Meg, Jason Statham versus a shark. And you know what? Homeboy literally fights a shark.
Yeah. For the sequel, I think it'll be Die Hard in a shark. I think that's what we're going to do.
I tell you, the cast, though, I had a lot of fun with the cast on this movie. And I think it's one of those things where everyone's playing to type. And you kind of have to give it to them. They're all enjoying doing it. Like Cliff Curtis plays Cliff Curtis.
Yeah.
You know, Ruby Rose shows up.
He gets to be Australian as well.
Exactly.
Is he Australian or is he New Zealand?
I think he's from New Zealand. But you know what?
Well,
Hollywood can't decide what his ethnicity is. So, he just seems happy to let Hollywood just game him on the ethnicity system. That's how that works.
Likes to work.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to have the same scruples about that like Antonio Banderas does. So, you know, Antonio Banderas.
It is the heart of the mountain.
Yes, you know.
She is breaking.
Yeah, like Banderas, who can play a Frenchman and an Arab, and he can just play everyone, Banderas, can't he? But yeah, so Meg, I like that a lot. Big fan of the sort of over-the-top 70s Irwin Allen type nature of it at times. I think it does a good sort of affectionate homage to Jaws. It has Piranha 3D-like fun. What's not to love? Has anyone tweeted any such love?
They have, at Big Baby Gordo 69.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a mouthful.
Okay.
Says, the Meg better win an Oscar.
Do you know what? Fair.
Might.
Number 4.
Mamma Mia 2.
Well, it's like Mamma Mia. There's another one. It's about as good. Personally, I think it's slightly better.
Yeah, should we go to the tweet?
But yeah, let's go to the tweet on Mamma Mia.
Yep. At Katsu VV says, I watched Mamma Mia 2 with my mum the other day. That's it.
That's great. That sounds fun.
Number 3.
Black KKK Landsman.
It's so weird, isn't it? When you have to try and put the audio audibly describe the joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I loved Black Klansman. I was a really big fan of it. I think it's the best film Spike Lee's turned out in 15 years. When was Inside
Whenever
Man?
Inside Man, yeah.
But I mean, having said that, though, I do think Chirac is underrated. I think that's underrated. But yeah, this is awesome. This is great. You can feel a little bit of that Jordan Peele shadow in there as well.
It's the most mainstream film he's done in a long time.
Definitely. I love John David Washington, though, in the lead as Ron Stallworth.
Ron Stallworth. And then Flip Zimmerman
is Adam Driver. I think they make a good team actually as well. I'd be interested in seeing like the pair of them in a comedy. Don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's because there's so much comedy in Black Klansman. There is, and there's a lot of darkness as well, and it does juxtapose.
We cannot word today.
We can't word. It does juxtapose the darkness and the humour, I think, quite nicely. And but there is it does build to like kind of sledgehammer moments kind of at the end, but which is obviously no spoilers or anything. But that was interesting to me. But anyway, has anyone tweeted?
Yes, they have. At Indigo J. Halen says, Black Klansman was probably the best movie I've seen in a while, TBH. To be honest,
yeah,
I think that's what that stands for. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's based off a true story. I mean, it says right at the very start of the film, it's based on some for real
shiz. Yeah.
Definitely would recommend for everybody to go see it. Hashtag David Duke, yo.
Yeah, fair. It's a great movie. We all agree.
Number 2.
Crisscross.
Crisscross.
Oh, Christopher Robin.
Oh, God. You ever wondered what the hell was going on there? Crisscross.
Yeah, Crisscross.
Christopher Robin.
Wouldn't that be great if it was like a Strangers on the Train? Is it Strangers on the Train?
Strangers on the Train. Yeah, it is Strangers on the Train. Yeah, Crisscross.
Yeah.
Well, I think, let's be honest, you and I know it more as Throw Mama from the Train.
Well, yeah.
Be real. Because that's the first version of that movie I ever saw.
How many times has that been done?
This is your cousin. You don't have a cousin. You lied to me.
That film is amazing. I would watch that with Pooh.
With Winnie the Pooh, like Strangers on a Train with Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Like Pooh and Piglet meet on a train and swap murders.
Yeah. Pooh wants to get rid of Tigger because
I always wondered.
He knows where the bodies are.
You know when Muppets was going through that phase where they kept like doing different genre parody movies?
Yeah.
I always wondered why they didn't actually do like more specific like film concepts, like do something like Strangers on a Train and stuff like that. It'd be like you just wind up with like an action movie that just happens to star Kermit. You know?
Die Hard. With Muppets.
Point Break with Muppets. Oh my God, the surfing scenes would be incredible.
No, I would hate that, and I'll tell you for why. I get freaked out when I ever see a Muppet's legs.
Yes, that is weird.
Yeah.
So
if I ever see Kermit's legs, I'm like...
Doesn't he have the string bean legs? He has the string bean legs, doesn't he? Yeah.
Sorry, Christopher Robin.
Sorry, Christopher Robin.
It's all right. I've not seen it, but
quite nice and charming. You know, it's not Paddington. But it's a little bit more Hook. You know, and it's not Donald Gleeson. This one, it's Ewan McGregor, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, that's Goodbye, Christopher Robin.
And this is Hello, Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we should call this now. Hello, Christopher Robin. The only way to tell them apart. So Hello, Christopher Robin. Yeah, Ewan McGregor, very likeable in it. I quite like the little girl. I quite like Hayley Atwell in it. And of course, Jim Cummings as these characters. There's no one close.
Who does he? He does Pooh, definitely.
He does Pooh. He does... Doesn't he do Eeyore as well?
No, Eeyore is Ray's brother from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, Brad Garrett. It's Brad Garrett. I love Brad Garrett. But, so, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I take it someone has tweeted us who enjoys it as well.
Someone has, at Brunga K, says, Christopher Robin was so good and totally made me cry. But I have a new theory that CR, so is that...
Christopher Robin?
Oh, all right. Oh, cool. This guy goes deep.
Okay.
Theory that CR is some kind of deity or something. What else could create a pocket dimension with sentient teddy bears? The Detritizers? No.
The Detritizers?
That deterioritis when he forgets. Is that
deteriorates.
But
maybe he means to say deteriorates.
He spelled it wrong.
Okay.
That deteriorates when he forgets. Right. Okay. Good theory. Terrible spelling. C-.
Also, I would watch the hell out of that movie, just FYI.
Number 1.
The Nun, more black.
Yeah. The Nun, I think, is the best spin-off of one of the Conjuring movies. I prefer this to Annabelle Creation. Now, everyone else seems to think Annabelle Creation is a stronger film. I don't get that. I really don't. I think this is... You know, it's got a great female lead in Taissa Farmiga, who is obviously the younger sister of Vera Farmiga and who stars in the other movies. So what that's about, I don't think we quite know the full range of yet. Apparently this has bumped up the timeline for the next Conjuring movie. We're going to get one sooner rather than later because these are just making too much money. This apparently has made all the money as well.
We're doing that creepy guy. The creepy man.
Yeah, the creepy man.
Yeah.
For my film.
The creepy man.
The creepy man.
Yeah. What is he called? Crooked man.
Crooked man. Crooked man. Yeah,
I keep
Crooked
thinking
man.
he's just called the creepy man.
But the thing is that this, on as far as its formula goes, stays closest to an actual Conjuring movie, where there's a sort of investigative procedural element to it. Now, I sort of went along with it. I think it's all about. I think for my take, it's all about atmosphere. I think it worked a lot better for me than it did for most people. There is something inherently creepy about, a convent. Anyway, it would take a very lazy director to not wring some, tension and atmosphere out of that. And yeah, it's creepy as hell. I mean, it's the least scary of the Conjuring spin-offs, but it's the best one. So that's kind of where I fall. Yeah. So who's tweeted us?
At Marv Bouquet says, The Nun is painfully and scarily boring and a total waste of money, and Van, shut your face. You don't know anything. Hashtag whatever.
Hashtag whatevs.
Yeah.
That's fair, that's fair. So should we just launch straight into Superfly really quickly? So, I'm trying to muster some enthusiasm.
Well, I'll tell you what you should do. You should listen to Superfly by Curtis Mayfield instead of seeing this one. You'll have a much better time.
I think it does play twice in the film. I think it does play sort of the beginning and end. So Superfly, which is a remake of the classic blaxploitation film,
which was called Superfly.
Which is called Superfly, imaginatively enough. Although I think it wasn't 2 words in the 70s. The title was 2 separate words.
Superfly.
I think it was Superfly.
Not super-fly.
Yeah, now it's just Superfly. Like Jeff Superfly.
Jeffrey Superfly.
Jeffrey Superfly.
And the Connecticut Superflies.
But funnily enough, this is actually written and directed by...
this guy's name.
By Director X.
Yeah.
I've checked, and it turns out that he is of the Toronto X's.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not the New Hampshire X's.
Not the New Hampshire X's, no.
Always
He's of the Toronto X's.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, the whole film... Right, no, and before I even get to that... Right, basic plot. You've got Priest. Youngblood Priest is our hero, who is it's kind of like an episode of Power. The whole thing feels like an episode of Power.
Right.
He's a drug kingpin who lives to a very specific code. No one gets hurt, I won't do this, I won't do that. He and his two girlfriends, who he refers to by another name, I believe, they gather all the intel for him, and his whole gimmick seems to be that he is always the smartest man in the room. He knows everything about you. He has Sherlock-style sized you up end to end, and he knows every way to play you, to manipulate you, to get you to do his bidding. He is Superfly. Here's a clip.
I need to ask you something. I did it. I thought I made myself clear. I thought we were partners. You're my brother, Priest. Somebody come at my brother, they come at me. If they come at me, they get got. You started a war. No, I didn't. They was gonna come for you regardless. We gonna be long gone by the time they're an issue for us anyway, trust me. That's the problem, Eddie. We are supposed to trust each other, are we not? You don't always have to tell me the truth. That's not trust. Me doing right by you, you doing right by me, that's trust. Just don't lie to me again. I'm serious. All right, I don't care what your definition of trust is either. You wanna hug it out? Huh? I'm right here. Hug this.
Can you feel the tension in that one, Case? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that Big Boy from Outkast apparently plays the mayor in this.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
I was wondering, because it did seem like that's so weird that it's not like a bigger star, like playing them. And then, you told me that, it makes complete sense.
You are whiter than me, Van.
Right, so actually, it's not written by Director X, sorry, it's written by Alex Say, who is a sort of up-and-coming, cool kind of figure on the scene. Right, in the lead is Trevor Jackson, who absolutely has the best hair game in the business.
Oh, it is on point.
It is. That is. I mean, seriously, stop the film there. You've peaked.
I don't think that's his day-to-day hair as well, unfortunately.
Well, he does seem to. He seems to go about his business with no hair care time whatsoever. in his day. Anyway, it's beside the point. He works fine in the lead. I think he's a little bit too soulful, I think, for to really sell the supposed brutality that this character is capable of. That's been misjudged. It's going for that sort of animated, heightened reality style of the Shaft remake. You remember about 18 years ago now? The John Singleton...
That long ago?
Yeah. The Samuel L. Jackson remake of Shaft.
We've got Baby Shaft coming up, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got a new one. Is it Shaft Jr., Son of Shaft?
Son of Shaft.
Son of Shaft.
Yeah.
And, well, this has a lot of that 2000 Samuel L. Jackson kind of feel to it, except what would happen if you took that movie and decided to direct it as a P. Diddy video? Okay? If you want to know what that would actually end up like, absolutely go and see Superfly. There is, however, literally no other reason to see it. Okay? I mean, for one thing, right, I saw Superfly when I was a student. But as you do when you go through the quote-unquote classics and you have that week where you watch all the blaxploitation films. By the way, my favourite is The Boss with Fred Williamson, if you're ever wondering. Anyway, what a kick-ass movie. Anyway, and also not what it was originally called. Never look that up in public. Anyway, so I can tell you with some authority that they have absolutely missed the margin with this one. Because any of the point, any of the power, any of the poignancy that the original Superfly wound up creating, the release of it wound up generating around it. It was that moment for blaxploitation kind of hit big with Superfly. It was one of the earliest ones. And this has none of the reverence for that it should. This just feels like any old rubbish. In fact, if I'm going to compare it to something, it's like that remake that Sylvester Stallone made of Get Carter.
I was thinking about that earlier when we were talking about Michael Caine.
This feels like that. It didn't need to exist. This never, ever, ever needed to get remade. And in remaking it, they have quite blatantly missed the point. It's very telling that they go from the character being a prostitute in a pimp in the 70s to being a drug dealer now. To which you sit and think, it's funny that those are the lines you want to go down, because it might have actually forced them to be a bit more insightful and a bit edgier if they had stuck with the pimp angle, but they don't. Anyway, it's mostly a bit rubbish. And I will say this though. Okay, we'll say this: the evil gang in it, because the whole thing has this sort of Romeo and Juliet style Montague's Capulets nonsense thing going on. The bad gang dress entirely in white. They're all African American. Nice. Yeah. They dress only in white, which, if you remember the old Family Guy joke, wow, he must be doing well. They're called Snow Patrol. I know. Right.
So just run by Snow Patrol, start playing every time.
They're called Snow Patrol. They only wear white. Everything they use is white. So they have like white iPhone cases. Their guns are customed. They are white Glocks and white like MP5s and like white submachine guns and things. And everyone just runs around this movie the whole time, endlessly hating on Snow Patrol. And I just watched it thinking, my God, it's like reading the NME in 2005. Wow.
Take that, Gary Lightbody.
Honestly, every 2 minutes it's just like F Snow Patrol, man. It's the most bizarre thing. That, incidentally, is the most interesting thing about Superfly, which otherwise is tedious, has no point, plays like an episode of Power. And I don't mean like, as if you tried to create an original. I mean, it just plays like a random ass in the middle of the season episode of Power when you've never seen an episode of Power before.
I have never seen it.
Have you never seen it?
No.
It's like what 50 Cent thinks The Godfather should be like. That's literally because he produces that.
He's producer, isn't he?
Yeah, he produces that. But, this is... I can't, in all honesty, recommend this any more than I would just watch the box set of Power. Because... that at least that's a bit cooler than this. Yeah. This
shame.
Yeah, this does not work.
Wasting a good haircut.
No, that is badass hair game.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show.
And we're back for one last ride, Mr. Allen. So, should we have a quick look at something in film news before we crack on with that last review?
Yeah. What's happened? Has anything happened?
So, yeah, actually, I did want to ask you about that. About that. The what do you call it? The Superman thing? The Michael B. Jordan thing. Like, you really think that? Who would you get? Like Superman?
to be Superman,
Yeah.
I'd get Henry Cavill. I'd just get a better director.
Actually, that's true. That is absolutely true, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think he could make an absolutely incredible Superman. He's just had rubbish material, naff direction, and a weird suit.
A weird suit, really? You think?
Well, but actually, the suit's not that bad. I just needed a third thing to reaffirm my point.
Okay.
But it's really the direction. It's just been wasted, hasn't he? And
there was talk this week about, because you know Halloween screened at, is it Toronto this week? This last week?
Yeah.
So Halloween screened and got all the love. It would seem like they've made a really good sequel. And there's talk now, obviously, like people keep interviewing the filmmakers and like Danny McBride, one of the writers, and people keep asking like, "Oh, do you want to do a sequel?" Like, "Yeah, we're open to sequels." I'm like, no, that's why we went wrong last time.
Yeah,
we had a good reboot called 20 years ago. We ruined it because you made sequels. No one needed to see Busta Rhymes drop kicking Michael Myers. Okay, that's just not a thing. You really want to see like the pitch meeting that took place around?
I mean, I just want to be friends with Busta Rhymes.
Oh, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
But like that Gremlins 2 sketch that Key and Peele did. I can just imagine that with Halloween Resurrection, which was for a while.
Is that the Paul Rudd one?
No, that's Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Right.
Yeah. Halloween Resurrection, I know, is the 8th film because for a long time its official title was Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was its official title for a good long while.
Was the 8 like...
The 8 was instead of the O in Halloween.
The O, yeah. Halloween.
It was going to be Halloween. But there you go. So we mentioned Key and Peele. Keegan-Michael Key is, of course, in our next film.
Which is
The Predator. Not only is Keegan-Michael Key in it, Keegan-Michael Key is introduced literally with, "This is so-and-so, he tells jokes."
Which is true in life.
Right, so let's get that straight out of the way. This is a film that really doesn't want to just fuss about. This really kind of just want to gets down to what you want. Yeah. You know, this wants to give you some likeable characters and some sci-fi action. And you know what? Credit where it's due. It does that. So, latest film from director and co-writer, I believe, Shane Black. He's co-written this with Fred Decker, I think, hasn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
Shane Black, of course, weirdly starred in Predator. And I think the reasoning was because he was the writer they wanted to keep on set to punch up the dialogue.
Yeah.
Is that the actual story?
That's the main
so they just gave him a role.
Yeah. You just be another guy.
This is how Aaron Sorkin winds up like starring as Alfred the Butler, isn't it? This is totally going to be what happens.
If we could see a Sorkin Batman film, yeah.
That would kill for that. Anyway, so Shane Black has now come back behind the camera. This story is set canonically. Well, it's set now, and it canonically follows more or less every movie that's had a Predator in. So the mythology actually now becomes a thing. The mythology is actually now front and centre in these films, which is very jarring, I must say. So the idea is that a commando unit in Mexico has come upon the latest Predator. One sole survivor is carted away as part of the government's cover-up of it. He's played by Boyd Holbrook from Logan.
Yeah, and Behind the Candelabra.
And Behind the Candelabra. Thank you. I was trying to remember what the other one was. I can never remember that he's in Behind the Candelabra.
He was originally a male model, don't you know?
Was he now?
Yeah.
He does, in fact, look like the B&M version of Ryan Gosling.
Slightly better than that, but yeah.
Slightly better. Okay, now he's next at home's Ryan Gosling.
He's nothing like Ryan Gosling. Where are you getting
Because I'm watching this film thinking...
Are you just thinking, oh, he's a man, Ryan Gosling is also a man.
Ryan Gosling is also a man-shaped. They therefore are brothers. Anyway, therefore they must know one another. No, so Boyd Holbrook is the sole survivor, survives an attack with the Predator, is carted away by the government to be interrogated about what he saw. He is put in on a prisoner transport bus with a bunch of...
Not prison transport brunch, which is...
That would be amazing. A prison transport brunch.
We're just eating waffles, pancakes.
Excuse me, can you pass the hollandaise? I'm sorry, my shiv isn't clean. Could I have a new one, please?
How am I supposed to eat my eggs Benedict?
With your spork. With wooden spork. Anyway, so he's put on a prison bus with a bunch of characters who are introduced to us as the Loonies.
Yeah, I like that name.
Yeah, and they are made up of every character you've ever seen in a Shane Black movie ever. Okay, so you've got one who tells jokes, you've got one who has Tourette's, you've got one who likes to explode things, you've got one who's the nice sort of best friend partner type, you've got one who's the pervert, and this is literally kind of how they explain to us as well. They literally introduce to us, like, this is Jeff, he likes to look at boobs.
He tells jokes, he's got Tourette's.
Literally, this is how they're introduced. And what then follows is a return of another predator who comes down, and basically this prisoner transport bus becomes the recipient of the only hope we have. They form their own little would-be A-team unit and have to take down this encroachment of predators on this small American town. We have a clip.
Welcome to the Looney Bus. McKenna. Nebraska Williams. That's Coyle. That's Lynch. With Merckx. Why are you here? I don't think you believe me. Come on, man. I had a run-in with a space alien.
This guy is crazier than the rest of us. What's that?
So it's going for that sort of that classic Predator, Dirty Dozen style mentality. You know, the idea of the lovable rogues gallery of heroes. And, you know, they're all kind of one note, but they're likeable enough. You know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I know, but it's kind of daft. I really like the cast.
Yeah, that's the... I mean, okay, let's get that out of the way. Okay, right. As far as the Predator series goes, this goes to so much dafter a level than any of these movies ever have now. I would argue, I do think that the ongoing problem with the Predator series is the same problem that the Alien series has, which is, I'm sorry, but you've taken away a lot of the mystique at this stage. You've overly convoluted what should be a very simplistic threat.
Well, this is the most you see of Predator, I think, in any film.
There's definitely that too. For the very first time, they actually interact, for instance, with people and themselves, and it's a very jarring thing because up until now we have had this idea of the Predators as they are honor-based hunters, and this kind of makes them into more of like they have a society and like law enforcement.
That's still there, though. I think being honor-based hunters are still present in it.
That's still present, but I do think they have intellectualized the Predator to a level that I didn't quite expect, and it feels a lot like one of its own spin-off comic books. Actually, like it feels.
But I'm fine with that because the whole point is they're supposed to evolve. A race that are constantly evolving. And
there is that.
If you then have like a film set so many years later, and it's still just the same thing from long ago, then what's the point?
So, I mean, regardless, I mean, that for me, that was something I didn't enjoy so much. But other than that, I did have a good time with the film. I do, you know, I thought it's got the feel. It has the Predator feel down. You know, that classic, because we saw Predator together recently, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
We went to the press show when they re-released it. It's got the feels. It's got the tone. You know, it's got that lantern-jawed, sweaty-browed sensibility that Shane Black, you know, brought to the original Predator anyway. It's got the vintage Shane Blacky script. There are some belters in here, aren't there? Wow. I mean, none of which we can repeat.
We can't really say them.
We can't repeat any of them. Let's just ask, by the way, if anyone knows, is everything okay with Shane Black? Because this is set at Halloween.
Yeah, I think he's changed from Christmas and now it's just all holidays.
He just does seasons.
Just the seasons.
Just the seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has still got the morbid humour that the Predator series always had. It still works.
There's still a kid as well.
There's still a kid. Yeah. In this case, Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah.
And I mean, so there's been a lot of controversy about a certain element of the production of this film. I don't want to go into that, but I have noticed that this obviously is something that people keep going back to in discussion. I'm just going to ask the one question no one else seems to have asked, which is, everyone's having an issue with that. In the meanwhile, there is still an incredibly gratuitous and pointless shower scene in this movie. You know the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Now, that actually does serve a creative purpose in that it is a straight-up homage to Alien 3, obviously. But why it's there and why she needs to be naked? Like, specifically, why is she naked? I don't understand this.
I think I can explain it, but I don't think I can explain it on air.
No.
For spoiler reasons.
No, I know the obvious reason, and it's it's no different in one sense than the same thing happened in Alien 3, for instance. But Alien 3 was fully clothed. Anyway, so let's see what else we got here. We've got to talk about the editing of it, because this has been visibly hacked up. This does have elements that seem to be dropped and reappear. The exposition seems to get lumped into the most inopportune moments and then is developed quite poorly. It doesn't make a whole heap of sense at times. And then there's all of a sudden a MacGuffin introduced at one point. You're like, oh, that's a thing. Okay, I didn't realise that was meant to be a thing. We're going to keep going with that's a MacGuffin now. Okay, I thought it was just an inciting incident, but okay, that's now actually the MacGuffin. Okay, and then there seems to be the introduction of layers of different villains, of which, for instance, there is a new big bad Predator. They call it an upgrade Predator, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or just Predator 2 at one point.
Oh, Predator 2.
Which is funny.
That is funny for all that reason. Other things, like, for instance, potentially big characters getting filed down, because why is Keyes a character? Why is Jake Busey a character in this? There's loads of stuff like that where they want to flesh out certain elements of the mythology, and it's quite obvious that that's been scraped out, and it's left kind of a bitter aftertaste behind. The film, though, when it's just being a Shane Black movie that happens to feature predators, is very fun. And I had a good time with it. And it's got that kind of lantern-jawed morbidity that I absolutely adore. I mean, there's a sign-off for one character, well, two actually, that I thought was genuinely hilarious, and it was completely unspoken. It was this completely unspoken. You know them on?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, it's an unspoken moment, and it's so brilliant. But there's stuff in there that I really enjoyed. I just think that I'm not sure if it's a result of the hatchet job that's been done. The action sequences didn't quite work for me. I found them a bit choppy and incoherent.
Really? I think there's some really good ones. There's some really interesting, bloody, gory bits.
Yes,
that's all I really wanted.
That I mean, there's an image in this movie that should be one of the franchise's most iconic images, and it's if I just say dropping entrails.
Oh yeah.
You sit there, like that's going to be a Mondo poster. You can absolutely see that happening. For me, I had a 3-star time watching what I thought was a 2-star film. So I had fun with it, but I was aware that I was watching like something I thought was quite flawed. But for me, academically, could be the worst film of this entire franchise, which is a franchise that has Alien vs. Predator Requiem in it. But it's still more fun than Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Yeah, I think it's 100% better than those. I'd say it's better than Predators. Even though that's quite fun.
It's the second most fun Predator movie after the first one.
Of course.
Yeah, but it might be the worst actual film. But anyway, so I don't think we can make it film of the week. Really, I think film of the week has to go to Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy Rich Asians is film of the week. Really, I know you're not sold on this. No.
Well, okay. I'm fine.
I got no skin in this game.
No, I don't.
It's fine. Anyway, Crazy Rich Asians, go and see that. That's film of the week. So next week, interesting stuff to come. So that documentary, the MIA one. You know MIA, the rapper?
I do.
So she's a subject of a documentary. Yes, I know of her Paper Planes as well, and nothing else, it would seem.
Really?
Like, I don't know any of her work outside.
There's a really amazing music video that she did that was banned for a long time, where essentially kids with ginger hair are just being massacred.
Wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Really work. We'll probably bring it up in the documentary.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
It's a great video.
So we've got that's called Matangi Maya MIA. That's next week. Climax is next week. Good old Gaspano.
Gaspano, you filthy thing.
Oh, he knows how to have a good time. Let's see. Marky Mark takes the streets from Maltway 2. That's next week.
Oh yeah, has Peter Berg directed that by any chance?
Has he? Of course he has.
Get a room, you two.
I know. These two guys are like Burton and Depp, aren't they? A Simple Favour is next week. So that's Paul Feig doing like an adult thriller, which is supposed to be quite Gone Girlish, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think on the trailer or poster it's like from the darker side of Paul Feig.
I like that idea. Yeah. Faces Places. I don't know an awful lot about that one, but it's a Curzon movie.
Oh, it's the Agnes Varda.
Is it?
Film. Yeah.
It's a Curzon movie, so it's going to be good. We know that.
Do you not know anything about it?
No.
It was nominated for Best Foreign Film.
Of course it was.
Yeah, Agnes Varda, she's a filmmaker and photographer, and it's about her going around, I think, France, potentially, with some other person.
Hey.
It's like a big road trip documentary film.
Nice.
Apparently it's really good.
I look forward to that. So we've also got The Little Stranger next week as well.
Donald Gleason's groovy mustache.
Yeah, exactly. And last but certainly by no means least, The House with a Clock in Its Walls is next week.
I'm kind of looking forward to that.
I am as well.
It being an Eli Roth film.
Yeah, I mean, like Jack Black doing a kids' horror movie again. I'm in.
Yeah.
I love Goosebumps. But yeah, so we got all those to come and more next week off screen. In the meanwhile, this has been a Candy Store production for Movie Marker. I've been Van Connor.
I've been Case Allen.
And we shall be back.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Offscreen. For more movie news, reviews, and more, visit moviemarker.co.uk.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Podcast extras.
Yay!
Happening.
It's happening.
Right now.
It's happening. It's doing. It's a thing. There's a doings are transpiring. There's this weird rumour, I don't know if you heard this, that they want Guy Ritchie to do a Captain Britain movie. Which...
All right, yeah. I guess that's who you get.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be up for that.
I'd be up for that as well.
Yeah.
Are they going to wait to see how well the Aladdin film
Oh, God, yeah. I would imagine that, though. I'd imagine, when the... if that's something that actually comes to be, that would get announced around the time the buzz starts for Aladdin.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? It's been rumoured for a long time, and, he's quite a big name, really, I guess. He's just got a very weird, convoluted mythology. I don't know how you do that in an MCU film.
Yeah, I mean, it's
got his powers through Merlin, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. But I did try reading the comic books once, and I just really couldn't get into them, to be honest. Not really something for me.
No, a little bit too mystical. And
speaking of British superheroes, here's a question for you. I was going through I was trying to find an old Lola photo or something, and I was on my computer and I was going through the Photos app on my MacBook, and I found this picture I wanted of Lola, and you might have forgotten this. In 2014, there was a teaser poster that was doing the rounds for a Banana Man movie.
I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, it had a release date of something like Christmas 2016, didn't it? Or Christmas 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, but never transpired.
Never happened. What on earth happened to the Banana Man movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know? Have you found out?
I've not looked it up. I need to. I need to know what became of the Banana Man movie.
Yeah. Who was going to be playing Banana Man?
I have no idea. You know who should be Banana Man?
Who?
Tom Hiddleston. Buff Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Like Gerard Butler. But
that's not wacky at all.
No, nothing wacky about Jerry Butler. So, what do you call him? I'm trying to remember the name of the actor. Saeed Tagmaoui? Do you know him? He's from Wonder Woman. He played the Algerian character in Wonder Woman, I believe.
Oh, yeah. And he might be in James Bond.
This is the story. This is the thing. So apparently Danny Boyle had hired him to be the villain.
The main villain?
The main villain of it. Which is
big.
Okay, that's interesting, that's huge.
Yeah.
But apparently now with this whole change of directors, Saeed Tagmaoui is not sure he's still involved. He's not sure if he's That
sucks.
It's like what happened to Joe Manganiello, and they weren't sure if that was true. Yeah. But so we might get another one.
I mean, he was really good in Wonder Woman. But
yeah, he was.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else, thinking about it.
Oh, I always remember him from Three Kings, when he tortured Mark Wahlberg with the oil drum. He put the CD in his mouth, poured oil down his...
Is that really that guy?
That's the same guy, yes. Saeed Tagmaoui. What is the problem with Michael Jackson? Great scene. Great.
So he must be older than I think he is.
Yeah, he must be decently in his 40s at least.
He is 45.
He's 45. Oh, okay then. So that's about right. When was Three Kings? Three Kings was 20 years ago now.
1999.
1999. It's about like 19 years ago. That would track. He was about 25 at the time. Yeah. I could believe that.
Not seen that film for a long time.
Well, obviously, you know why he went to school in Kuwait? Well, when I was at school, I think I was about 16 when Three Kings came out. It was banned in the state of Kuwait because of the I forget what the official reason. The actual widely known reason was that they didn't like the depiction of the Kuwaitis as victims. And you start thinking, literally the plot. Literally what happened. That's literally the thing that happened. The Iraqis came in and stole all your swag. But they didn't really want to admit that, which is, a shame. They missed out on a good movie. I liked that. Plus, isn't that the movie where George Clooney punched David O. Russell?
Yes, it is.
I love that. Good old Cloontang, man. So, okay, let's do a film real quickly. Shall we talk about Michael Inside?
Yes.
Right. So
I don't know what this is.
Right. This is a relatively low-budget, independent. I think it's an Irish film. And let me see if I've got my notes here. Here we are. This is brought to us by writer-director Frank Berry. It stars David Flynn. He is the Michael of the title. Michael is about 18. He's just he's sort of college age. He lives with his grandfather. His father is serving time. He is caught holding on to drugs belonging to a drug dealer friend of his, and, quite a substantial amount, and he is sent to prison for 3 months. There's this whole adjustment of, how does a regular, everyday guy adjust to life on the inside? How will he survive? How will he, make his way through the system, as it were? In the meanwhile, though, on the outside, you have his granddad, who is being accosted by the owners of the drugs in question, who are basically holding the grandfather to ransom, as it were, to pay for these drugs, which is not really like a sensationalist kind of bent. They literally just say, it's $2,000 worth of drugs, give us $2,000. It's like that. We have a clip.
It won't be as bad as you think. It will. You made a mistake.
Stay away, Mel.
I'm sorry.
It's a bit late now, wasn't it?
You'll have to toughen up, Michael. Just keep your head down and you'll be okay. There's a lot of normal people in there. You can do it.
Hello?
Can't. You can't. You're not a kid anymore.
So I was initially a bit taken aback by kind of how cheesy it was. It felt a bit cornball, like shot really sort of starkly, very kitchen sink kind of aesthetic to it. But it's very much it leans very heavily on this on the widely enough circulated idea that the prison system itself creates more criminals than for instance, it rehabilitates, and it goes on that idea. It's going in with that sort of a very corny take on that mentality. This young boy is going to be corrupted by the system that he's only in by mistake. And I mean, it all worked because of a really great central performance from David Flynn. I think he's absolutely worth seeing the film for. The film, though, outside of David Flynn, is only just earnest enough to pull off the corny sort of sentimentality of it all, the very kind of obvious and phoned in way that it hangs together. Having said that, that performance though is absolutely brilliant. There's a cold.
It's worth seeing just for that.
It's worth seeing purely for that. He's a very layered turn. He can sell the keep your eyes down, be dead inside idea of this, but the emotional sort of power that's behind that, exactly why that's taking its toll on him. And I thought it was a great movie. I've seen far, far worse British prison movies. And I say that as someone who didn't enjoy that Jack O'Connell one with Ben Mendelsohn a few years ago.
Oh, I did enjoy that. What was that called?
Startup.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you enjoy that?
I just, there were so many things I didn't like about it. I just thought I just really didn't get on with it. And then...
maybe it's just not your kind of film.
Yeah, and then I got an angry phone call about it for 45 minutes trying to ask me to change my review. That actually happened. And I was waiting to see Under the Skin at the time. But was that the ScarJo alien one?
Yes, it was.
Yes, okay. So Annabelle 3 apparently is happening.
Well, of course, because money.
Because money, yeah. So Annabelle 3...
universe.
Yeah, Annabelle 3 apparently is going to be set between Conjuring movies. It's going to be set between 1 and 2, because basically we've just advanced in the timeline that much now that pretty soon they're going to have to start setting these...
We've got to be in space, yeah. Future.
My International Space Station. This series becomes the new Cloverfield.
Yeah.
But so Annabelle 3 apparently will be set at some point in the 70s between Conjuring 1 and 2. I ran into a bit of an issue with the timeline of one of them that I saw, where I couldn't figure out what year it was meant to be set in. I think it was The Nun. I couldn't quite figure out. It's meant to be like 52.
I thought it was early 50s. So
yeah, I think it's early 50s, but there's... Or am I thinking of Annabelle Creation? There's one where I really got stumped trying to figure out when the hell it was supposed to be set. And because Annabelle Creation's on Sky Cinema all the time at the moment.
Is it?
But yeah, have you still got Sky Cinema?
I think so.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But no, so Annabelle 3, because apparently there's an audience for these.
Definitely. Well, there's always teenagers, isn't there?
Have you seen those full-size replicas of Annabelle you can buy now?
No, I've not.
You can, like, you got on Amazon and eBay, they go for like nothing.
Brilliant.
And yeah, I'd absolutely have one to go alongside the Chucky doll I never got round to buying.
Yeah.
But
have we got any other films to talk about?
Yes, other films to talk about. Let's talk really quickly about Reinventing Marvin, which I have confessed to you already.
Which Marvin is this?
Right, this is referred to as Marvin, the Education of, I believe, you translate the French title of it. It is a two-piece narrative. Hang on, I'm trying to get the details up. So hang on, Reinventing Marvin. Sorry, you're going to have to put up with me IMDbing this.
Sorry, I've just done the same thing.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, we're all on the same page. Good. Okay. So this is the story of a young boy who is bullied at school, who doesn't have a great domestic home life. This is a section of the film that's told in parallel with the rest of it. There's two time periods. In the past, he's a young boy. We see his relationship with his parents. We see him sort of making the first steps towards discovering his sexuality. And then in the future narrative, which is our present day, we follow the same character, now roughly, sort of say, a decade older, and his first forays into sort of being a working actor, and specifically the opportunities that being a working actor affords him to further explore his now fully discovered sexuality. But we don't have a clip, obviously, because it's an entirely foreign language film. But as you've rightly pointed out to me, obviously this comes from the director of a film that we both have an appreciation for.
Yeah. Mums and Their Sons.
Mums and Their Sons,
Yeah.
a really awkward drama. Was it called Adore? It was Adore, wasn't it? Which starred Naomi Watts and Robin Wright. Yes. And that was a messed up film. Wow. And the How Did This Get Made episode that went with it was absolutely astounding. I think I actually saw it was it on UK Netflix, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why I watched it.
Yeah?
It was on there, yeah.
God, that film was just bizarre. Okay, so this is, same director. She's also co-written here, Anne Fontaine. And, this is the thing with this one. This one has really good performances powering through it. Finnegan Oldfield, I believe, who plays the older incarnation of the two boys, I think he's a real find here. And again, very similar performance in one sense to Michael Inside, that the way that is layered and the sort of storyline that you are running internally as well as externally, the way he balances that out is really good. And the way the character, because the character writing is terrific. And the way in which the central character kind of deals with his own emerging self-loathing, like as he has, as he explores his sexuality further, as his experience grows, so too does his own sort of, I think, sense of self-loathing and self-doubt. And he plays that to absolute perfection. I think he's really good. I think the film as a whole, though, doesn't quite come together anywhere near as well. And, at the end of it, I came away thinking, do you know what, it was a good film, but like Michael Inside, it's almost exactly the same result as Michael Inside, where great performance from a relatively unknown young male lead, but the film doesn't quite measure up to, that performance. Well, yeah.
Shame.
So we forgot to talk about Burt Reynolds last week.
Yeah, we should have probably spoken about that at the start of the show.
We probably should have. Yeah. Imagine that. So yes, Burt Reynolds, Gator himself, has passed.
Yeah. Was he 82?
82, I think. Yeah. Died of a heart attack?
I believe so.
And died in Florida, which sounds like an absolutely Burt Reynolds thing to do. Yeah. I mean, the only way it could be any more of a Burt Reynolds thing to do would be if he were driving a sports car at the time with someone perched on his lap.
Exactly, wearing a cowboy hat.
Wearing a cowboy hat, smoking a cigar, and with a scotch in his, a bourbon, in his other hand. And I loved Burt Reynolds. I was such a big fan.
Everyone loves Burt Reynolds.
The thing is, everyone says everyone loves Burt Reynolds. The thing is that I remember, when I was, around the time I first moved to the Middle East when I was a kid, the perception of Burt Reynolds was that he was kind of tacky and a joke, and he didn't really do much in the mainstream at that point. It was like the early 90s. And he was on TV doing Evening Shades at that point. And when I moved to the Middle East, I discovered that in the Middle East, Burt Reynolds is treated like a god. Like Rip Taylor in Wayne's World 2. Yeah. Like, he is a god in my country. Exactly the same thing with Burt Reynolds and the Middle East. They loved Burt Reynolds. Evening Shade was on TV.
I don't even know what Evening Shade is.
It was a sitcom he made where he was like a retired football player who goes home to coach the high school football team. And he has like a wife who's 30 years younger than him, and this is actually an ongoing storyline that they have to overcome their age difference. And yeah, it was cute. It was a very cute, quaint sitcom, and it's all available on DVD actually as well. Funnily enough, but that was my discovery of Burt Reynolds, and then obviously like Gator and Deliverance, and
Boogie Nights.
Because I always forget that he's in Deliverance.
Well,
because it doesn't seem like a Burt Reynolds film.
He doesn't have a mustache. I think that's probably what it is. You forget that it's actually him.
You see that picture though, don't you, from Deliverance, where he's got like the wetsuit on, and he just looks so badass, doesn't he? In that, like,
amazing.
That can't be like Burt Reynolds. That dude's badass. Burt Reynolds was never that. Yeah, he was. Okay, but
I was thinking about him being in The Longest Yard as well.
Oh God,
he's got like a football jersey, but doesn't like all the way go down. He's just got like a hairy like midriff.
Didn't he appear in the remake as well of that?
Oh, the Adam Sandler one.
The Adam Sandler.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Did he? Maybe he played the villain. I feel like that he plays the warden.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I do remember him playing the villain in the like for better or worse remake of Dukes of Hazzard, though. Wasn't he Boss Hogg in Dukes of Hazzard? Yeah. And it was such a quintessentially Burt Reynolds role to have as well. Yeah. But so it's a shame. Something I didn't know about the legacy of Burt Reynolds. This will actually intrigue you. Nowadays, it's kind of a done thing that every time we hear about a big movie, it's filming in Atlanta, something in Georgia. That is largely because of Burt Reynolds.
Why is that?
Burt Reynolds, apparently because that's where he lived, that's where he liked to be, would arrange for all of his productions to get moved to and filmed in Georgia. And he then sort of weirdly created that little industry.
Yeah.
Like purely...
So many things get made in Georgia.
Purely by his own laziness. I mean, imagine that.
Crazy.
That would be like George Clooney just suddenly setting up like a new film industry on Lake Como.
Yeah.
It's where I live. I don't want to move, damn it.
You could do that. He makes films in tequila.
Absolutely would. He is a billionaire now because of tequila, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
God damn. Is there anything Clooney can't do?
No.
Pitch for you, by the way. There's a TV series. I didn't know about this. I've only recently discovered it. The Vice Guide to Film. And this is
Where did I see this?
You've seen this on MyPlex.
That's where I've seen it. Yeah. I knew I'd seen that name somewhere.
Mm-hmm. This is a series of there's a 22 episode series. They are about half an hour in length per episode. Each episode is basically like a best of any given director. And just takes you through the big ones of their career and talks to their friends. And it's just a basic talking head thing. But like the names they've got in there, like I watched one on Fincher, Coen Brothers, who else now? The Wachowskis, I think, have one, and Ang Lee has one, and Linklater, David Lynch, David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
They've all got. John Carpenter had one. Tarantino was quite interesting, actually. But Samuel L. Jackson, very frank man. Very, very frank man.
Says the F word a lot.
He does. Yeah. He also says the N word a lot. And like at one point, for comedic effects. But so that's a good series. Worth checking out if you can find it. Vice Guide to Film. I hope they do a second series because there's so many other filmmakers I would like to see them actually do this with.
Vice really crushing it right now. They do loads of amazing stuff like on YouTube, and it's a little bit like with Vox as well.
Kind of, yeah.
Is it Vox that did the Explained?
Vox did the Netflix series, isn't it? Explained, which I really enjoyed. I was a big fan of how they got Kevin Smith to do the
weed one. Yeah, that was a good one. What else did I watch? I think I watched the monogamy one.
Oh yeah, I watched that one. I watched the DNA one.
A couple. I've not seen that one. No. I've only seen 3 or 4. I've not. I could do with just having like an afternoon where I just.
Should we just explain for anyone who doesn't know what Explained is? That is literally the show. They just explain something. It's just like a short form documentary
for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, like even short. There's like 15-minute ones, isn't there?
Yeah, some of them are.
There's one that's just like a 15-minute lesson on how the stock market works. I'm like, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and they present it in a very approachable way.
Very clear, isn't it? Very clear. And
it's like that bit in The Big Short.
Yes.
Yeah. Where we just stop the film to just explain how this works.
Yeah, but they don't use Margot Robbie in a bathtub.
No.
So, which, obviously we all need more of that in our lives. But, yeah. But, so I think that about covers us for this week.
I think so, yeah.
Right. In which case, here it is. Your moment of Cage.
I see myself as a student of acting or film performance, whatever you really want to call it. I'm always trying to learn something. I'm always trying to, take a chance or challenge myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I just feel as long as I can stay a student, I'll stay interested and keep it eclectic. And that's what keeps me going, to stay interested.